Hey guys, this is Brandon with BiggerPockets, and today I wanted to analyze a property that I found on the MLS. This came from my agent. This lead came from my agent today. A triplex that was listed before, it went pending, and then it came back on the market again. So I wanted to analyze it together because, I was going to analyze myself, and I thought, well, why don't I just record the whole process? So I did. It's about 24 minutes long, and I analyzed the entire triplex exactly as I would in real life. I really was analyzing it, and I come up with a price that I think it's worth buying it at. So I thought you would find this helpful. If you did, make sure I'm putting this on both YouTube and in the BiggerPockets forum. So jump in, leave a comment, leave a questions, anything you have about the property. Let's kind of work through this together. Let me know your thoughts on the property. Do you like it? So whether you're watching this on YouTube or on the forums, let me know what you think just down below in the comment area. And let's talk about it. And again, I'm going to be using the BiggerPockets property analysis software, which you can get at biggerpockets.com/analysis. But you could do this by hand, or you could do it with like a fancy spreadsheet or something like that. But I find it probably easiest to use the rental property calculator that we have on BiggerPockets. So that's pretty much how it works. I'll let you get to it and watch it. So here we go. This is the Simpson Avenue Hoquiam triplex analysis. Enjoy. This is the property. It's 2717 Simpson Avenue in Hoquiam, Washington. Good rental history with two two-bedroom apartments and one one-bedroom apartment. Unit 1 has a washer-dryer hookup. Unit includes 2 lots. Ooh, interesting. Second lot is a large yard. RV parking with sewer hookups plus additional off-street parking. New electrical service January 2015. That's cool. Close to the YMCA and other amenities. Unit 3 is not rented and is used by the seller. So somebody's house hacking this. Rents are low due to long-term tenants. Approximate market projected income with all 3 units occupied, $1,600 a month, subject to tenant rights. All right, so let's look at some quick pictures of the thing. I actually driven by this property a lot because I go to the YMCA quite a bit, or I used to anyway. And I've actually liked this property. It's in really good condition on the outside. I'd never seen inside until looking at these pictures right now. But it actually looks really well cared for. Looks like somebody who's living in there that knows what they're doing. Obviously, could probably use some more standard paint colors, but overall, it just looks a little bit dated. But as a rental in this area, that's probably pretty normal. I might replace the countertops in that unit at some point, but overall, that looks really nice. White walls, got a bathtub in there, clawfoot. That's kind of neat. Anyway, so there's a picture. It's got that huge yard, which seems like it'd be a good thing, but I'm actually thinking that might not be a great thing, only because then you got to pay somebody to mow that lawn. It's a huge lawn, it looks like. And if it's a triplex, they're not going to take care of it themselves, likely. But you never know. So this property is interesting. This property does require flood insurance. This is in an area that is located in a what's called a 100-year floodplain. So I'm going to have to definitely factor that in. I have a couple other properties in this exact area. And the area is not bad. By the YMCA, it's not high class, but it's not. I would probably put it as a C+ neighborhood. And from what I can tell, it doesn't need much work, it looks like. But again, I've seen this property a lot. I like it. It's kind of cool. So let's analyze this together. To do this, I'm going to start by going over to biggerpockets.com/calc. If you're logged in. If you're not logged in, go to analysis. And you're going to end up using the calculator. Let's see. Free BiggerPockets members can use it up to like 5 times, I think, and then pro members can use it unlimited. So let's see. What am I going to call this? I'm going to call this a Simpson Hoquiam triplex, just so I know in the future. I could also put the address on there if I wanted to. What's the address? 2717. And then the address again was 2717. I think I'll just copy and paste for simplicity reasons. Let's see, Hoquiam, Washington, okay. Annual property taxes. Now, if it didn't tell me, sometimes it will tell me on this information right there, 1307. If it didn't tell me, I could have looked it up on the county records, but and again, if you're ever analyzing a deal and you're not sure, you can always hover under over these little question mark things, and it will actually walk you through the process for each and every field that you got to enter things in at. So if you're not sure, you can do that. Now to do a picture, I'm going to go like this. I'm going to take a screenshot here. Ignore my messages. Let's see. Screenshot there, and then I'm just going to drag it from my desktop onto this little choose file because it's a Mac and you can do that. Property sales description. Good rental history. Oops. Let's just copy this area. And I'm going to paste it in there. Okay, next step. Purchase price. What are they asking for this thing? $115? All right, I'll go ahead and put in that full value. We can change that later and figure out. What is it worth after it's fixed up? Well, actually, it's probably worth what they're asking because it doesn't need a lot of work, so I doubt they're underpricing it. purchase closing costs. Well, to buy this thing, again, if you're not sure, hover over the little question mark thing. But to buy this thing for me, I'm probably looking at around $2,500 in closing costs. Repairs didn't look like it needed much. I like to always include a little bit, though, at least, because when you buy a property, it always needs something. In fact, I'm actually going to do $5,000 because it said one person was living in one of the units, which means that they may have lived there for a while. It may need some work, maybe new carpet, I'm not sure. Again, we can change these numbers later depending on what we find out, but we're just doing a quick analysis now. So down payment, what would I put down on this property? You know, as a multifamily property, it's residential still, so I think I can get by with 20% down. That automatically computes my loan amount over here. My loan interest rate right now is about 4.875. It's pretty typical. I'm not going to have any points by a lender or other charges. I don't have to worry about that because I kind of included that up here with my purchase closing costs. Let's see. Amortized over 30 years because it's residential. Commercial is typically 20 to 25. I don't have to worry about cap rate because it's not a commercial property. That's typically used for that. And now gross monthly rent. Now they said what the usual is, but I'm not even going to look at what theirs is. It said it was a 2-bedroom, so I don't care about their 1,600 what they think, but it is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. So I know that typically a 2-bedroom, 1-bath is going to rent for about $550 a month in this area. $550 a month for both of those. And one of them, if it's on the main floor, because it looks a bit more like a house, I actually probably could get a little bit more than $550. But let's just keep this thing conservative. And then for Unit C, which is a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, probably looking at about $495, if it's pretty nice. Other monthly income. I didn't see any laundry. They didn't mention laundry income, so I'm going to assume there's no laundry mat or machine. I'm going to assume there's nothing like that. They didn't say there was a washer dryer in one of the units, so let's not put anything there. Electricity. Now we don't have to pay that because tenant will pay it. But we are going to have to pay the water bill, and we're looking at probably about $150 a month in this area for water. If you're not sure, you can always call up your local water department, or you can just ask the agent who's selling the property or your agent, hey, can you find out what the typical water's been over the last few months there? But I have another triplex in this area. We're looking at about $150 a month for water and sewer. Garbage, we're looking at probably $60 a month for that. $20 a month per. That's my area. Again, yours might be a little different. And then insurance on this thing is probably going to run about $75 a month. That's about what my other triplex is. And now other monthly expenses. This is where I could put things like snow removal, which I don't really have to do, but I'm going to have landscaping to worry about. So I'm going to hit add expense, and I'm going to call this landscaping. And I only have to mow the lawn half the year, but it's probably going to be twice a month half the year. So that averages out to, once a month all year, which each time is going to be 25 bucks. So I'm looking at somewhere between around maybe 20 bucks to get it mowed, maybe 30 bucks, somewhere in there. Let's just say worst case scenario it was $30. So I go 30 times, we do it twice a month, times about 6 months a year. We're looking at about 360. Now I'm going to divide that by 12 to get our monthly cost. So on average, we're spending about 30 bucks a month for landscaping. And then one more expense we have to worry about is flood insurance. Because flood insurance, this neighborhood is in a flood zone, or this is a flood zone. Now, I don't worry about this property flooding, I'm sure. Typically it doesn't. And if it did, flood insurance would cover it. So I'm going to make sure I budget for that. So I'm going to go ahead and budget probably flood insurance right now on my other triplex in this area. I think right about $100 a month. Might be slightly more than that, but I think that's probably good for now. All right, now we got vacancy. In my area, we usually run less than 5% vacancy because we manage our own repairs and maintenance on this property. It looks pretty nice, so I'm going to keep it pretty low at about 5%. But my CapEx, I'm going to put up at 10%. This is those big items that eventually need to be replaced, meaning things like the roof. And how did the roof look on this thing anyway? Oh yeah, it looks like a newer roof. I don't see any moss. I don't see anything curling shingles. So I'm going to say capital expenditure of 10, but things like parking lot, new siding, things like that. Just those big things, appliances, carpet, the things that aren't just minor maintenance. And then next, I'm going to do the property management fees. Now, we're going to manage this property myself. And so I could leave this blank. However, I'm not always going to manage this property myself, so I'm going to calculate what the typical property management fee is around my area. Because again, I don't want to manage this forever. And now income increases per year. What does the future look like? We don't have to do anything here, but I will. So income increases per year, I'll say probably, I think income's going to go up by maybe 1%. The property value will probably go up by 1%, and expenses probably 1% per year. Maybe that's a little bit under, knowing that inflation's around 2%, but that's okay. I don't like to usually think too much about future assumptions, but especially on a cash flow property like this. This is not going to go up in value very fast. This is going to be pretty normal. All right, so before I get down to the numbers, what do you guys think? Good deal or bad deal? Good deal or bad deal? I'd ask you to vote, but I know you're not live because you're watching this video later. So let's look at this. So there's the information, and according to our numbers here, the important information that we care about mostly is in this gray area. We got our monthly income of $15.95. Hey, it's actually pretty close to what they said. They said $1,600 a month is what they estimate, and I estimate almost exactly the same. So that's cool. Monthly expenses of $14.89, and if you're wondering what those are, they're all broken down right here for you. And then we have our monthly cash flow. This is a big number, $105 a month. We got our cap rates. We're not really going to worry about that again because we're not dealing with our commercial property. But what I care about are these two numbers mostly, and actually technically these three numbers: the monthly cash flow, the cash on cash return, and our total cash needed. Because I want to know, this is how much, if I finance it with a 20% down payment, this is how much total I'm going to need to come with. And how did that number come up? Well, we needed $23,000 for a down payment. We also needed a, where was it? Purchase closing cost of $2,500 and the repair cost of $5,000. So add all that together, the 23 plus the 5 plus the $2,500, and you're going to get $122,500. And we know that the loan amount was a 20% loan was 92, which means that we have to come up with 30,000. So that's just why I like this number here. It just makes it a lot faster. And so at this price point, we can see that I'm making $105 a month at a 4% return on investment. Is that good? That's the real question here. Is that a good deal? Well, before I get to that, let me show you the rest of the page. So again, we can see all of our numbers here. I can see our breakdown of our expenses, our breakdown of income, where did it all come from, and then I can look at the 50% rule. Now, if you're familiar with the 50% rule, you'll recognize that this property, according to this 50% rule, it should produce $300 a month in cash flow. The 50% rule simply says that on average, half of the income, so half of this $1,600 or $1,595 is going to go out in expenses, in operating expenses, not including the mortgage. And so what they're saying is $1,595 times 50% leaves us with $797, and then subtract our mortgage from that, and we're left with $300 a month. This is actually a really good example of why the 50% rule can be dangerous, right? Because if somebody were to buy this property based only on the 50% rule, they would think they're going to get $300 a month in cash flow. But I've shown up here, I'm only probably getting $105 a month in cash flow over time. Now, if I scroll down a little further, I can see some other things like the income expense ratio, in other words, like the 2% rule. It's at the 1.3% mark. The total initial equity, because I had to put that big down payment down, I actually have, the only equity I have is the fact that I put a down payment down. Gross rent multiplier and my debt coverage ratio. I can look at those numbers. Don't worry about those if you don't know what they are, but if you want to learn more, you can find that info on BP. I can look at the analysis over time. In other words, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 10, 20, 30, and then I can look on this graph and kind of see all this cool stuff here too. So I can see what the future is. So right now we can see that the property value is, if it goes up by 1% per year, next year it's going to be worth 116, then 1 whatever, all the way up here to 143, 144, 146. Okay, and then down here I can see what the loan payoff is over 30 years, paying the loan off. And then I can see what my equity is as it climbs over time. So including my down payment, how much equity do I have? I can also look at the future of cash flow and things like this. Like my income, I can see what my cash flow is. So my cash flow is looking at about $1,200 a year to start with. By year 5, I'm up to $1,500, and then $2,000 roughly. So, you know, it climbs a little bit, and then once the loan's paid off, boom, it jumps up to $9,490 a year in cash flow. So again, this tells me a few things. So, and then one more thing I'll show you is you can download a PDF report if you would like to of this property. And this PDF report, actually there's two things you can do. You can download it, and it takes about 10-15 seconds to generate. So we'll let this generate real quickly here. Okay, and here it is. It just shows us the basic numbers we just came up with. Now what this is really helpful for is being able to give it to your lender or a partner or a spouse or whatever. And so this is just kind of cool. I like it, being able to give somebody all this data, especially if you're going to go finance it or you're going to give it to a hard money lender or your spouse and show them why it's a good or bad deal. This is just invaluable. Now, instead of just printing this out and whatever, you can also share the PDF report. Click Share PDF, and it waits just a second. We just sit here and wait, probably about 10 seconds also. It's got to generate this link, and it's going to tell us a good link that we can send to people, which is kind of cool. All you have to do is click on it, and it's copied to your clipboard. Now I can go send that to somebody else and say, hey, hey, check out this link right here. And there's the full link right there. And if somebody clicks on it, they get to go look at your PDF report. So again, you can email the PDF report without having to actually save the PDF. You can just email them a link that's good for 7 days. Very cool. All right, so let's talk about this deal again. Is this a good deal? Well, in my opinion, I would say I probably would not buy. I would not buy this at this number. And here's why. Because there's a 4% return on investment. I could get better than that in the stock market, right? Like, I'm not making hardly any money on my money. I want to make more than 4%. I want to make 10, 15, 20%. Like, I want to make good numbers. I want to get way more than I can get from the stock market. So now, in some cases, I will take a smaller cash-on-cash return in exchange for knowing that I produced a bunch of value in the property. Like, for example, let's say this property was actually worth about $200,000. Well, in that case, then I might actually be interested in jumping in and buying the property because I know I can sell it someday and make a bunch more money. But I can't. This property is not going to be worth a lot more than what it is right now. And so I don't have the ability to sell it. It's not like I can flip it or sell it for a lot more money 5 years from now. So for me, $100 a month is not cutting it. I want to see typically, like I said, a minimum 10, maybe even 15% cash-on-cash return, unless there is really good appreciation reasons why I should accept a lower cash-on-cash return. Additionally, another rule of thumb I like to use is I want to see $100 a month per unit per month on this property. $100 per unit per month on this property. And I don't see that here. I see $100 total. Not good enough for me. So now that begs the question though, at what purchase price is this property worth it? What purchase price? Well, we made a few assumptions. Why don't we hit edit report and go back and look at it? And nothing on page 1 is going to change. We'll keep that all the same. But I do want to change the purchase price. So I'm going to lower this purchase price down to, let's say I offered them $95,000. Would it be worth it at that point? Now, I'm still going to say the after repair value might be $115, but I'm going to have to refigure our down payment. So I'm going to click it again, and it's going to come up with a new loan amount of $76,000. But I'll keep everything else the same. Still 30 years. I'm going to keep the rent the same. I'll keep the expenses the same. I'm comfortable with all of this. I'll keep all of this the same even. And then I'm going to calculate the results. We'll see what we come up with now. Now, is this a good deal? Well, now we're looking at a monthly cash flow of $190 a month. Cash-on-cash return of 8.62. Well, now this is looking better. And here's why. Yes, it's only a cash-on-cash return of 8.62. However, I'm also looking at the fact that this purchase price is a lot lower than what it's actually worth. I think it's worth around $115. I think I could probably resell it for $115 in the future, maybe to a homeowner who wants to house hack. But I'm now getting a better deal. So now it becomes a little more interesting. But honestly, still not enough. I want to still get more than this. I want more than 8.62. If I'm going to come up with 26 grand out of cash, I want to get more than $200 a month in cash flow. I want 300. I'm going to say that. So you know what? Let's go back and edit the report again. And this time I'm going to change one other figure instead. Oops, press the button. There we go. 95. I'm going to change this down to, again, let's go 90. A little lower. But instead, I'm going to change my estimated repair cost to just 1,000. Because what if we got in the property and realized it didn't need any work? I mean, really nothing. And so I put 1,000 just in case there, I need a new faucet or something. And now let's go see what happens to this. We'll leave the rest the same. We'll find out what happens. What do you guys think? We're looking at better numbers. Oh, you know what I didn't do? Hold on. I have to read. And this is important to remember. You have to make sure. Oops, hold on. Next step. You have to make sure you refigure the down payment each time you change your purchase price because this number has to rechange. So 20% down of a $90,000 loan. Next step. Next step. If you don't do that, then your cash flow is not going to change. All right, so what did I come up with? Now we're looking at $211 a month in cash flow. Now we're over the 200 mark, but our cash-on-cash return is a whole lot better. Why? Because we have less cash needed. Remember before we were looking at almost 30,000 needed. Now we're looking at only 21,000. Okay, so now we need less money and we're making more cash flow. Therefore, our cash-on-cash return is a heck of a lot better. All right, so we got our vacancy, capex, garbage management, property taxes, flood insurance, landscaping, principal and interest, insurance, water repairs, all that good stuff added up. And this deal is becoming more and more enticing to me. But still, honestly, for me and where I'm at today, I probably still would not do it at an 11% cash-on-cash return. Maybe if there were no other deals, I might look into this one, but I think I can do better with other properties. So for me, this is a pretty borderline number, 90,000. But guess what? Let's figure it out. Where does this make it fun for me? Let's go one more time. Let's go purchase price this time of 70,000. Yeah, we're gonna go real crazy here. 70,000, I gotta refigure my down payment. So it refigures our loan amount. Next step, calculate results. And now we're looking at a 20% cash-on-cash return with a monthly cash flow of $296 a month. This, my friends, is a number I would pay because I'm just about $300 a month. That's $100 per unit per month. A 20% return on investment is awesome. I'm looking at $17,500 for total cash needed. So what does this tell me? It tells me that at $70,000, that is my purchase price. That is what I want to pay for this property. So are they going to accept that? Probably not. I mean, that's a full, what is that, $30,000, $40,000? That's $45,000 discount. I very much doubt they're going to accept it. But guess what? I might offer it anyway. Why? Because what's the worst they're going to say is no. Now let's go to a little bit more advanced. I want to know who owns this property. Grays Harbor County. Parcel search. This is my county assessor's page. I'm going to look up this property and just look at who owns it. 2717. Your county probably has this as well. It's not going to be the exact same process, but it's going to be pretty similar. 2717. Oh, there's two of them. Let's see which one it is. It's weird there's two. That is not the property. I can see that. Let's go to the second one. By Shirley Savage. There it is. There's our property. By Shirley Savage owns it. And the county assesses it at $86,000, which is not completely uncommon for the county to be way lower than what people are asking, but still kind of interesting that they are a lot less. I can look at the tax information as well, and I can see that, well, she's current on her taxes. If she were behind her taxes a couple years, it might give me the indication that she's much more willing to take a lower price. My guess is she's not too far behind, so she probably won't take it. But again, it doesn't hurt to offer. You know, I could offer Shirley 70, or I could just wait and see what happens. But it doesn't really hurt to offer because, you know, you might offer on 10 properties and you'll get 10 no's, but number 11 might be a yes. And then I'd be looking at $300 a month. So, I mean, this property just came up today on the market. I just saw it today. Why not one of you guys offer $70,000, see what happens. And again, there are some assumptions we'll need to verify. We'll need to make sure that it only needs $1,000 worth of work. We'll need to verify that you really can get a loan on it, that flood insurance is really only going to be $100 a month. We'll need to verify that, you know, insurance was $75 and that water is $150. But this gives you a really good starting point. So, you know, obviously by talking through this, it took me what we're recording now for what, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, maybe longer. I could have done this entire analysis. I didn't have to put this information in. I didn't have to put some of this stuff. Didn't have to upload a photo. I could have just quickly burned through this thing without talking and probably had it done in 4 minutes or less. I could have analyzed this whole deal in 4 or 5 minutes. I could have played with the numbers and found this $70,000 number in probably 5 minutes or so. And then I would know what number I wanted to do. Now, would I offer on this property? Honestly, I probably won't do it on this property. Only because I don't love the neighborhood. I'm not going to go out of my way necessarily, but you know what? Maybe I will. I don't know. I guess the point is, everybody's goals are different. Your goals are different. This might be an ideal property for you. For me, it's probably not as ideal. So that is typically, ignore my cell phone going off, that is typically how you can analyze a deal. So if you have any questions, of course, you can jump on this thread. I'm going to put this in the BiggerPockets forum so you can check it out. Let's silence the cell phone from ringing. Somebody's calling me from Utah. Don't know who that is. Anyway, you can comment and ask any questions you have or comments or concerns or whatever in the thread below. I just want to kind of open up this conversation to show you guys a little bit of how I analyze a triplex. So with that, thanks you guys for listening and have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye.